Hello and welcome back, everybody, to another Premier League weekend reaction podcast. It is game week 11 that's just gone by. I'm your host, Gary, joined as always by Alex. How you doing, Alex?
I'm very well. I think I made this joke a few weeks ago, but they must think you must be like the world's worst host. You just keep getting the same guests over and over.
No one else will want to come. No, I'm scrambling at the bottom of the barrel here. But if you're new, give us a subscribe, give us a like. Maybe if we have more subscribers and more likes, I can get someone else other than Alex. But what a weekend we have had. A couple of cracking games, this weekend. What's coming up? As usual, winners and losers of the weekend. And we're talking the Manchester Derby and the crazy game between West Ham and Liverpool. And at the end, we've got goal of the week. But we must start with winner of the week, Alex. And as usual, you get the first pick of the bunch. So who are you going with in terms of winner of the week?
So this is going to be like kind of, I would only describe this as, I don't know what the word is, but I think shitty or like kind of pretentious. I'm just going to say it, right? The winner of the week for me is the Premier League.
Right? Very Premier holistic guru of the Premier League. What's your spirituality index coming to?
Okay, I'll tell you why, right? Because tell me if I'm wrong, but I got the vibe, or certainly I had the feeling, and I think a few other people had the feeling that, when Chelsea spent over 100 mil in transfer window, so did City and United, Liverpool, they didn't spend.
Even Arsenal, but no one was serious about Arsenal. So,
you'll get why I haven't included Arsenal in that list in a sec, right? But even Liverpool, right, they were getting like Van Dijk back, which, is essentially £100 million signing anyway. And I feel like well, hang on, wait, shh. Let me finish. You'll see where I'm getting from. I feel like I feel like there was a little feeling where, like, kind of where they were like investing so heavily that there was going to be like kind of a new top four, and they were may slowly move away kind of from the Premier League, and like the competitiveness might drop slightly. And what's been really good is that we're seeing all four of those teams. They're all dropping points. They're all like kind of losing games, bar Chelsea, who haven't lost any games recently, but they drew to Burnley, right? Mm-hmm. But the competitiveness is still there. And on top of that, you have Brighton. I think they're 5 points off fourth. And then you have West Ham in third. They're like 3 points off the top. So, when I had that like kind of initial feeling at the start of the season that the competitiveness may go out the window slightly, I'm clearly wrong, because, there is still all sorts of like kind of teams getting results and being up there when, maybe they shouldn't be.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. I mean, that was on the backdrop of the European Super League as well. So if at any point in time there was a division between the top teams and the rest of the league, it was at that point. Yeah, you're right. I mean, but it's still some examples that I named earlier, Aston Villa, so Arsenal not really in the top six either as well. Still be able to punch up like a ridiculous amount of money, just the strength of the Premier League. But I agree with you. The Premier League remains competitive and remains basically the World Cup that happens every single year, in my opinion. But my winner of the week, you just mentioned them, and that is West Ham. West Ham.
Yeah.
I asked you last week whether it was a trick or a treat. West Ham's Champions League chances, and they had a massive game in hosting Liverpool. And if they had any chance, not that they have any chance, if they wanted to make a serious claim for Champions League, this is the type of game that was there for the taking. Liverpool were undefeated going into this game, so they were fighting for the title basically, Liverpool, and they managed to get a great scalp against Liverpool. It didn't hold much of the ball, but they were super effective in taking advantage of Liverpool's weakness. So I've got them winners of the weekend.
No, I think that's absolutely. I don't think anyone can argue that they were fantastic against Liverpool, and they've been fantastic pretty much all season. Other than say that one game against Brentford, which we can call an off game now, right? They've been that good.
Yeah, absolutely. And West Ham, it still feels like, even though they've proven what a good team they are, they still have to prove it week in, week out. Like, it's going to go until West Ham actually get in the top 4. I feel like the rest of the league don't believe that they can get in there until they actually do it, which might be like the last game of the season.
Yeah, but they did the same thing with Leicester, right? Everyone's just waiting for them to slip up. It's on West Ham to keep proving everyone wrong. You know, it takes pressure off them, so just keep on doing what they're doing.
And somehow David Moyes being linked to rejoining Manchester United would be the craziest thing in the world. But
Moyes has almost proved, right, that if they had backed him and given him a bit more time, he might have done a much better job than what he did do.
Yes.
But we digress.
I got another question for you. Do you think Newcastle are winners of the weekend by appointing Mr. Eddie Howe, who has not been in a job for, I don't know, it's 3 years now. 3 years?
I think for a manager, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because you could spend those 3 years like kind of studying the game, trying to like kind of craft your skills, working your man management. Do you know what I mean? I don't feel like you're like a footballer, where if you don't play for 3 years, you need to like kind of, it's a physical aspect.
To a certain extent, but you still need to be in the job to be a part of the cutting edge, of the Premier League in terms, because tactics and science, data science, and sports science, they change rapidly year to year. I don't know for certain, but that's the sense I get from Premier League football.
No, I agree. But if you have people around you already kind of like doing that for you, you could like, a manager could dive straight in and still do it. I'm not saying he will, but I'm saying like kind of it doesn't have as much of an impact on the manager as it does as a player. Anyhow, he's a weird one for me, and I'll tell you why. It's because some people rate him highly and think he did a really good job with Bournemouth, which I think he did. But some people think he was completely overhyped, and when the England job was available, they didn't want him near him. And when he's been into a few jobs, they always say he's the wrong man. So I don't know with Eddie Howe. I really don't. And you know what's really interesting with this Newcastle job? It's a complete different job to what he had at Bournemouth, right? He's going to be getting a lot of
pressure. A lot of pressure straight away.
A lot of pressure, which he hasn't like kind of had to deal with in his Bournemouth years. There was always like kind of quite a low expectation. So I don't know, but I think it'd be a really interesting thing to like kind of watch it unfold and see how he deals with the pressure. See, what kind of transfer acumen he has, and what he does with it.
Yeah, I'm really 50-50 with this. I mean, I think you do need young managers to bring life into, tactics and the way of managing staff and your squad. But then the other side of me thinks, oh, God, Newcastle just need to make sure they don't get relegated this season and they can have a full crack at it come the summer and the new season. So yeah, I'm kind of worried because, as much credit Eddie Howe has in terms of getting Bournemouth promoted to the Premier League and keeping them in there for a couple of seasons, he still does have a relegation to his name, albeit Bournemouth have a very, very restrictive budget compared to Newcastle.
It's quite interesting you say that, because I was just going to like kind of cap it off with, I feel like after his role at Bournemouth, I feel like he has, like, his reputation grew, and now, as I say, he does have his doubters, but now it's his time to prove it. How good of a manager is he? How can he deal with the pressure? How is he dealing with a team where he now doesn't have to like kind of pick up like kind of odd players here and there? He has to build that team essentially, from the bottom.
Yes, absolutely. So let us know who you think winners of the week are in the comment section below. And we're moving over to loser of the week. I feel like we've got quite a few. It's a bit difficult. It's been a merry-go-round. I'll let you go on. You say it.
I was going to say, I feel like for a lot of people that they don't know, we do lose of the week. Sometimes that is the person who has been the biggest loser of the week, which, in football happens quite a lot. But it can also be the person who lost the most. And considering 2 people lost their jobs, I don't know about you, Gary, but there's 2 people I have in mind.
Yes, me too. I mean, it's crazy because we talk about, maybe we go slightly overboard week to week because we want to find topics that we want to really engage in the conversation of. But we talked about both of these people a couple of weeks ago. One of them, for me, is Dean Smith. We were talking about Aston Villa. We're talking about how just last week, actually, 4 losses in a row. In our minds, it didn't look like he was in danger of being sacked. But I don't know. In my mind, 4 losses in a row that is basically a sackable offense in the Premier League, right? Compound that with an additional loss against Southampton. Now, Dean Smith, he is officially gone. Poor start. It's difficult because against Southampton, I didn't think they played that badly. They came out decent. They came out decently out in the second half, but they couldn't get it going, couldn't get the goal. And I guess it's just a shame that he has quality players, but he just hasn't been able to get the best out of them this season. And a mark of a manager's ability, despite players coming in and a squad forming over the last couple of weeks, couple of months, you still have to get the best out of them.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I feel like he tried to kind of adapt to the whole Grealish situation, now having two strikers and what to do. And he just hasn't, kind of in that time, he hasn't showed that he's, or certainly to the Aston Villa kind of bosses, I feel like he hasn't shown kind of enough improvement with kind of the two strikers. So I feel like they really feel it's time to move on and look at other contenders.
Yeah, it's a shame because Dean Smith, he really goes out as a Villa legend. I believe he's boyhood fan, right?
Yeah, I don't think he'll be. I don't think he'll be booed upon his return or anything. I think
no, of course, but you have to give him credit. Took over Villa when they were sort of on the down, had a little mini rebuild that he had to work on, and got them promoted to the Premier League. And I would say that season that they survived the Premier League, I can't remember exactly, but it felt like everyone thought that they were going to go down every single week towards the end, and they just sneaked it. So he has massive kudos.
I'm 99% sure that was the season that Villa stayed up because someone didn't turn on the goal line technology. And they stole either a point or 3 points, but someone didn't turn on the goal line technology and the ball went in the net because they didn't have it on. They allowed it.
It might have been against Sheffield United. Yes. During the pandemic. Arsenal lost to them as well, so during that season as well. So I remember that. But yeah, it's a shame to see Dean Smith go. That's why he gets a proper nominee as loser of the week. I say that very harshly. I mean, he's not really a loser of the week. He's got paid out. He's got paid out his contract.
No, but he's the ultimate loss for a manager is kind of your job, right? So he has lost the most this week. I think that's why.
So then we go on to potential candidates for the Aston Villa job, right? There's a lot of names banded about. Shall I go through them? And you can chime in if you've got any opinions. Lampard.
Yep.
Ronald, good old Ronald Koeman. Nuno Despacito. I'm terrible with his name.
Nuno Santos.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. And outside the Premier League, you have Fonseca, who's been linked with a few Premier League clubs, and he's had a good record with Shakhtar. So, there's a bunch of names out there. I'm wondering if can't get John Terry back, can they? Or
I mean, maybe I'm not sure. You know what? I want to throw a wild card out there. I'm going to throw a wild card. Yeah, he hasn't been in a job since he's been in a job at Barcelona, but I'm not going to say Koeman. But Ernesto Valverde. Valverde, am I saying that right? I think I'm saying it right. Right. But I'll tell you why he's a bit of a wild card. Is because he likes to play a 4-4-2. He likes to play good football. And he might fit the bill with Aston Villa are looking for a manager who kind of already encompasses playing two up front, which is what Aston Villa have been trying to do, right? Mm-hmm. So I wonder if maybe, just throwing him out there as a wild card. But for me, I don't know. It's a really tough one because, you got Lampard, who, he did okay at Derby. Ironically, he got them to the playoff finals, right? But then, ironically, he lost to Dean Smith's Aston Villa. And then he didn't have a great time at kind of Chelsea. So that's, I'm not sure if that's an upgrade on Smith. We still don't know, kind of how good Lampard is. You know what I mean? He hasn't had that chance yet.
I really don't know about Frank Lampard. If anything, I would have been slightly more comfortable with Eddie Howe for Aston Villa, just given the situation. But it's difficult. There's not a lot of good managers out there currently.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I mean, remember, he did have a very good time at like kind of Southampton, but then when he went to Everton, his career's kind of gone a little bit like kind of downhill since then. Certainly results wise. I mean, I know he ended up at Barcelona, but like kind of results wise, he did well. Who else did he say? Nuno Santos. Look, he did well at Wolves, and whoever went into that Spurs job at that time, it was going to be a walking disaster, right?
Bit of a rivalry though to go from Wolves to Aston Villa.
I mean, if Benitez has gone to Everton, I'm sure that Villa fans, if he doesn't do terribly badly, but Villa fans will accept him. But yeah, Andre Villas-Boas is another one.
Oh,
he's without a job since Marseille. I think he's been doing rally sport. I'm pretty sure he's been doing rally sport, like kind of somewhere. I've read this somewhere.
These are the names you're suggesting Aston Villa to go get. Poor old Carl. He's probably he's probably upset at Dean Smith, and we're suggesting Andres Villas-Boas, Nuno Santos as well. And Frank Lampard.
I don't know. I genuinely at this point in time I don't know. I'd have to like kind of look into it more to like kind of say it's a really tough decision to make. I feel. But Aston Villa. I just want to say Aston Villa must have a choice in hand, right? There's no way they smack Smith without saying
smacked.
Smack. That's half Smith, half sacked. There's no way they sacked Smith without at least having a look at like who's available. Do you know what I mean? And
how about Steven Gerrard? I thought he would be the number one name on the list.
He did a very good job last season. This season hasn't been as good. I think he falls in the same category as Lampard, as where they're very early in their career, and I feel like they haven't had long enough in their career to be like kind of proven yet. Don't get me wrong, you can take a gamble on him and be proven right, but you can also take a gamble and be proven wrong, so it's a tough one. Right.
Okay. Good luck to Dean Smith in the future, and good luck to Aston Villa for finding a manager. Our next nominee is another part of the manager merry-go-round in the Premier League, and that's Daniel Farke. Talked about Norwich as well. Both of these clubs, Aston Villa and Norwich, it's a bit surprising that they sacked their manager because they do have a project and a long-term vision in place, and that was certainly the case in Norwich and in Daniel Farke. And as well, it's kind of weird because they didn't lose their game, so it was kind of weird that
they won.
Yeah, they won the game, and you'd understand if it was another loss, but you would think after winning he might at least have another week. But I guess
it wasn't a great performance against Brentford.
Yeah, so it might be.
I think Tim Krul was probably their best. Sorry, I was going to say I know that they won, but it was like it wasn't a great performance.
But they don't have to be. They don't have to be if you're in a. I mean, you would like it to happen, but if you're from relegation, you want results.
If your finger's on the trigger and you're ready to like kind of pull it, and then you win, but it's like a terrible performance. It's already there. It's bang. You're already gone. I feel like. I think they were literally. I don't think they saw enough, regardless of the win. I don't think they saw enough to keep with him.
Well, this was my point, right? All these, we brought up Norwich twice this season about their long-term strategy. They seem like they're content with going up, but do massively well going back to the Premier League. But they kind of look like cannon fodder in the Premier League, and they take beatings and they get relegated. But as long as they keep the
Well, clearly that expectation has changed, right? Because the fact they've sacked Farke, they clearly want to stay in the Premier League.
Yeah, exactly. And that was my point, because Farke, I wasn't sure if he was properly a Premier League manager, because the results just haven't been there. But at the same time, Norwich don't have a lot of squad investment, so it's really hard to judge. This is, I think, their point. How do I call it? A proper inflection point with Norwich, where maybe their club history takes a proper change. It can go massively well, or it can go massively bad, because at least Daniel Farke was a steady championship manager who could get you up in the Premier League. So they have to hire someone in mind where if they can't get them back in the Premier League, just keep them in the Premier League. He has to be capable of doing it in the Championship.
And Norwich aren't like one, so when they come up, they don't spend crazy money. So when they do go back down, they don't take a hit, like kind of that much of a hit financially. They're like they keep themselves stable enough to go up and down. But who knows? Get rid of their latest manager. You could say they could be fucked.
You said it earlier, and I felt like YouTube was picking up that as a swear word as well.
Did I do it twice? I don't mean to be cruel. I should stop.
So is that it in terms of loser of the week? Those two?
No. I have a few funny contenders to throw out there. One, I think BBC picked up on this. I think I saw it at Match of the Day. There's an Everton fan.
Oh, yeah.
There's an Everton fan screaming at Stuart Atwell, screaming at him. You don't know what you're doing. What game are you even watching? And are you wearing a white T-shirt? In reference to, is he wearing a Tottenham shirt against Everton? And the truth is, no one knows because we don't know where Stuart Atwell was at that time because it was actually Chris Kavanagh who was refereeing the match. So this guy was going full pelt at kind of Chris Kavanagh chatting, do better Atwell, even though Atwell weren't even there. Yeah,
we should keep. We have a Twitter account. We should retweet this or pin this tweet because it was a hilarious. I feel like we should do tweet of the week because there's some hilarious stuff that goes on week to week in the Premier League.
Maybe.
This was definitely one of them.
It was really good. I have one more contender. That is the Arsenal team. And
why?
I'll tell you what. Because Danny Rose. So here's his what happened. You probably saw it, right? But Danny Rose, one of their Watford players, goes down injured, and Danny Rose clearly puts the ball out as his teammate is down injured.
You're talking about this.
And the general rule of thumb, right? And 99.99999% of the times, when a player of the opposition team puts the ball out, right, you give it back. And Arsenal did not give it back, and they played on. And I felt it's just a lack of class. I think, it's just, especially, like, not being funny, Arsenal spent 150 million compared to kind of Watford who've just come up. It's just a bit classless, right? It's not the way to do things.
If you see this in isolation, you would exactly think that. But if you watch the game, right, what you would have seen, I'll just go back to the incident, right? Whoever that Watford player that was going down, right, minimal contact on him. And he basically flops and he dives, right? By the time Danny Rose has got the ball, he's getting up because he's basically trying to waste time. And you may think it's a lack of class, but I'm 100% up for this because I don't know how many minutes per game that we lose because people are basically only just trying to break up play by diving and rolling on the floor. And they expect and Watford were trying their best to slow down time and waste time. So, you know what? I'm all up for it. But there was a foul on the play, and it was before and it shouldn't have stood because of that, not because of this.
I wasn't actually going to bring up the foul, but I agree. I did think that was a foul, but I wasn't actually going to bring it up. Here's my thing, right? One, I think you got our Arsenal hat on. Two, right? No, I'll tell you why. First, your first point about him barely being touched. None of the Arsenal players know that, right? And three,
other than the player who did it as well.
Oh, is he going to shout across to Lacazette? Play on! I didn't touch him. Right, three. I don't know what the French is for that. And three, I feel like you would have reacted very differently if that happened to Arsenal. So I'm
all for making sure that divers don't do this, and they got what they deserved, in my opinion. Now we move on to game of the week. Right? Game number one. Right? We are not a Man United podcast, so we're not talking about the Manchester derby just yet. We are talking about West Ham's 3-2 victory over Liverpool. We go through some refereeing decisions. We've got to.
There's loads.
Right? West Ham, I felt they deserved it. It's difficult because Liverpool had a lot of the ball, but West Ham were super, super effective. But there's quite a few, right? Firstly, we've got to talk about Aaron Cresswell's tackle on Jordan Henderson, right? Pretty meaty challenge. I don't know what your opinion is. I assume you know what my opinion is, right, on this challenge.
I don't know. You do like you do err on the side of caution, shall I say, when it comes to challenges. I think there's a few things. I don't think it's a red card, and the reason why.
Say that.
No, but the thing is, right?
Let us know if you think it's a red card in the comments, because we're probably going to debate this pretty extensively.
Well, let's try and keep this limited to like kind of maybe 2 minutes, right? But here's my thing. I think it looks bad, right? But I think the whole point of VAR being there is, I think when you actually go in and you actually look at it, I think there's no there's no great intensity to it. The chance of Henderson actually being injured in that situation is low, because I think bad injuries happen. When players like kind of absolutely like they've got a bit of pace to them and they dive in, that's a dangerous tackle. And what Creswell did, don't get me wrong, right? It's not a great challenge and maybe a booking, but I think what Creswell did, he's never going to injure Henderson in that situation. And if you're trying to punish, like kind of,
why is he not? Every challenge you have has the potential to injure someone. You can't say that.
No, but you're talking about bad injuries, right? When the bad injuries usually happen, that's usually when they're kind of going at pace, and they're usually like kind of you've got the whole force of the body along with like kind of this speed that they're accelerating at going into a tackle. You didn't have that with Creswell. He didn't have any like kind of pace. The worst thing you would have is maybe like kind of a few filthy stud marks, and I feel like
that's pretty bad.
Which is why I get in a booking. But my point is, I forgot my point is that tackle, I feel like it's never putting in Henderson in any more danger than most other tackles you see.
I'm on the other side. I think that's a red card. I mean, the way in which he goes in, right? He's going in pretty much studs up near the top of the ball, which is pretty high, right? You like if you're going for the ball, you're going low where the ball is, because the ball was basically on the floor, right? He goes high, which is kind of like mid shin level, right? That's pretty damn high, right? And the thing that convinced me the most was his right foot. It swung out. And when you're making a tackle, I've done this before. I've played probably dirty in the past, but I know it takes extra effort to swing out and follow through with your other foot that you're not tackling with. So I know he meant to go in pretty aggressively and kind of reckless. So on the reckless side of it, I think that should have been a red card.
I think, do you know what, right? I actually think this is going to be this point doesn't help either of us. And I'll tell you why, right? I actually think Creswell's, so the right foot, I'll be honest with you, when I was watching it really close, like I didn't like kind of, I weren't looking at that one. I was looking at the one that did end up like kind of on Henderson's like kind of thigh. I actually think Creswell's left foot actually bounces off the ball a little bit, which is quite funny, because that I think helps me, like kind of in what I'm saying, but I don't think the referees actually counted that, like include that in there. And I feel like if his foot doesn't bounce off it, because then I get what you're saying about like kind of he's coming in like kind of quite high, but the thing is, when you're just getting a toe to the ball, your legs are like your leg doesn't extend. It's always going to come up because that's the only place he's got to go. And I feel like it bounces off the ball, which then in turn like kind of makes his like kind of foot go a bit higher. But I feel like the referees didn't actually see that. So if like where I could use that in my argument, I'd be like, look, I think his foot bounced off the ball. I don't think it's a red card. I feel like the referees should have used that. If they didn't see that, then it probably should be a red card, right?
Yeah, I just think it's a type of tackle that, you know, has a high potential to get a red card, because he's coming in a bit dangerous, probably not at speed, but in terms of studs up, both feet off the ground, right? And it's unfortunate. Yeah, everyone go look at that challenge. His left foot bounces off the ball and he catches Henderson on basically the right knee. So it has all the ingredients of a red card. So I thought he was quite unlucky. But we can agree to disagree.
We're adults, right?
No, not really.
Fuck you.
That's not what we call ourselves. There's a couple of other ones. You know, Diogo Jota didn't get away with the cleanest game. Yeah, the pretty feisty elbow on Ogbonna.
Do you know what, right? I just want to quickly say on that one, right? It's almost the exact same, almost for Henderson. The Henderson Creswell tackle. Do you know what it is for Ogbonna? I'm trying to work out, right? you know when so Jota goes up and Ogbonna crashes, like kind of he goes into him. And do you know what it is? I don't know if it's the force of Ogbonna going into him or if Jota's meant it, but you just see he's like kind of left elbow come out to meet Ogbonna's head.
Yeah, and it's an extra swing of the elbow, right?
And
it doesn't seem like, why would you need that extra momentum? I don't know.
It's a really, really tough one. I feel like it's one of them that only Jota will ever know. And so, like, kind of, again, I feel like it would have been harsh to send him off for that reason. But it's an interesting one because, as I say, there's some of it that doesn't seem natural, but it's not enough, I feel like, to prove it. Do you know what, weirdly? I feel like either they're both red cards or they both know, like, kind of, I feel like accidentally the ref's done the right decision. Like, either they're both red cards or none of them red cards. You know what I mean?
And lastly, as Mohamed Salah has got given a lot of praise on this last couple of weeks, but we have to absolutely call people out when they dive. And Salah, big old dive before Trent's free kick. Big old dive. So,
do you know what I didn't like as well? Just to kind of add to this, is I was doing what I usually do, like kind of going through the reports and all that. And Sky Sports called it as went to ground cleverly. It's a fucking dive. Like, don't get me wrong, every team does it, right? So no one can actually, like, kind of those in glass houses, right? Every team's got divers. No one actually can, like, kind of claim innocence for this. So I'm not, like, kind of having a go at Salah. I'm just saying that in this moment he dived. I'm well aware that every team does, right? But it's a dive. Call it for what it is. Don't say this falling over cleverly. It's a dive. A dive which they benefited from.
Exactly. So got to call that out. So I feel West Ham were, well, I say they were unlucky, but given how they even talked about it on the broadcast, when they went 1-0 up, they kind of just how do I say it? They went within themselves. They were a shell of how they played. They sat back. So that goal kind of sparked them back into life. So maybe not the worst thing for West Ham, but frustrating given how Liverpool benefited from it.
Can we just quickly really talk about it? And I feel like that this is going to be the quickest conversation we've ever had in the history of conversations, right? But the Ogbonna challenge on Alisson, not a foul, right?
For the goal.
For the goal.
Not enough in it for me. No. I think Alisson should be a bit better there. If anything, I think the Liverpool defenders should be in and because there was, in my opinion, there was almost 3 West Ham players in and amongst Alisson, and there was like one Liverpool defender, and I feel like he needed more protection from his defenders just to body them out of the way. So that's that. The main defending issue is the issue for me in terms of that goal.
Yeah, fair enough. It's actually quite funny because actually there's something I noticed, but we can touch on that when we talk about West Ham in a bit more detail. And we move away from all these refereeing decisions.
Yeah. We have to give West Ham credit in this game. You know, like we said earlier, sort of pressure. I mean, they are the underdogs in this game, but they're hunting for Champions League. They really got their game plan correct in this game. I feel really it allowed Liverpool the majority of possession. Liverpool are going to have that, but really stifled their game. Liverpool didn't really have a lot of chances to create spaces in the final third, and West Ham really made it really difficult for them. And I felt they did really well in dispossessing Liverpool and counterattacking, pretty damn well with and Antonio. But yeah, great performance, great set pieces. This game plan of countering and being really effective from set pieces, right? I feel it's going to catch a lot of teams off guard this season. And it kind of reminds me of the England team at the World Cup, not at the Euros, but at the World Cup. And I think maybe finally this West Ham team can hit the dizzy heights that they aspire to achieve.
Dare I say, I actually think this West Ham team is probably better than the England team at the World Cup. I think if they were to play each other, I think West Ham would win.
No, I don't think so.
Do you know what? Right, I actually feel you've undersold West Ham's performance a little bit. And don't get me wrong, you said it, but I actually think they played really, really well. I thought they played incredibly well, and I actually think they got one over at Liverpool. Firstly, you touched on it there, the set piece, right? It's something I noticed. They made it so difficult for Alisson to come out and get the ball because they would constantly like kind of put players around Alisson, and then what they would do, they'd put like firstly like kind of their set piece delivery is absolutely incredible, but they would put set pieces right on a 6-yard box where Alisson couldn't come to get it because he was being shielded by the West Ham players, and that allowed like kind of West Ham's set piece attackers to like kind of get into some really good positions and get a run on the Liverpool defenders. And I would say it worked twice for the goals, right? And it worked a third time because I can't remember who it was, but I think it was either Rice or it might have even been Dawson. I can't remember. But someone hit the bar, didn't they? And it's from the same thing. They put it in the 6-yard box. They blocked off Alisson so he couldn't come get it. And I thought they did really well. And then defensively, I thought that was absolutely brilliant because what they did defensively is the midfield like kind of dropped a bit deeper to cut off the space in for Liverpool's attackers. And that allowed them absolutely no space. And Liverpool really struggled to create chances against them. And it was a little bit unfortunate for them because the chances they did create fell to Mane, right? And he didn't have his shooting boots on. If I think that's the best way we can put that, right? He didn't have his shooting boots on. And then I feel like as West Ham kind of got courage defensively, they started hitting them on the counter and they just become an absolute lethal team, which Liverpool really struggled to play against. And I'm going to put this out there, right? If Liverpool didn't have Virgil van Dijk, which is a ridiculous if, right? Is a massively ridiculous.
Well, I didn't have them last season.
Well, if they didn't have Virgil van Dijk, some of the kind of balls that West Ham put through, and because Van Dijk's quick, right? You have to remember that Van Dijk is really quick. It could have been more because I feel like Van Dijk
had the proper battle with Antonio, didn't he?
Yeah, but he swept up a lot of like kind of the balls that West Ham put through, and they were dangerous balls. But Van Dijk's pace kind of saved Liverpool a little bit.
Couldn't save them for the set pieces, but yeah.
You know what? I just want to give a quick shout out, and that was Bowen's assist for Fornals.
Yeah.
And I feel like that snuck under the radar a little bit. I feel like if like kind of Son did that, if Salah did that, if like kind of someone else did that, or like De Bruyne, like it would have been spoken about for ages. But the fact Bowen like kind of burst through Liverpool players, he waited for Matip to commit, and then as soon as he did that, he then played it like that. Showed
he was very patient because he could have slid Antonio in, right? That's the good decision making that Bowen had.
It was
in that
brilliant
situation.
In doing that, he completely removed all the Liverpool players from like kind of Fornals, who kind of just slotted it away. But yeah, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Bowen there. I thought he has a brilliant bit of play.
Yeah, and shout out to David Moyes. Do not take that job at Manchester. Okay, you've got a perfect thing going on at West Ham. Why leave it? Please.
I think he's learned his lesson. I don't.
So well done, West Ham. Well done, West Ham, indeed. Winners of Game of the Week #1. And we've got to talk about Liverpool. Liverpool. Yeah, it's a... Try not to overreact, basically, because their unbeaten run has come to an end. 10 games, done really well. But even though they were unbeaten, it felt like the draws were starting to pile up and they were slowly falling, not falling away from the title, but it became less credible. And considering we were talking superlatives about Mohamed Salah, right? He's been scoring some amazing goals, clearly a contender for player of the season, but yet they were bit too far away from City and Chelsea, and now losing to West Ham is another different issue. So I feel like now they're slipping away from the title challenge.
No, not for me. I'll tell you what, we're 11 games in, right? So not everyone has played anyone yet. And Liverpool
over a quarter of the season, though. Over a quarter of the season.
No, but the important thing with that is you've got some teams will have tougher fixtures coming up. Some teams will have like kind of easier fixtures coming up. I don't know where Liverpool kind of fall in that, but I'd say like kind of it's difficult to say before the halfway point. They're 4 points off the top before the Christmas period. And if we've learned anything, the Christmas period can be like absolutely mental. Things can just get turned on his head. And I think if Liverpool are still 4 points off the top come 2022, I think I'd be quite happy with that because they're still with a shout of it. So I get where you're coming from. I do get where you're coming from. But I'd say they're definitely kind of almost within grabbing reach of the top of the table. So nothing to worry about yet, I don't think.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said I don't want to overreact. I'm just prodding and probing. Anything
Trying to be
that
dramatic.
I see with any of these teams, I'm going to bring it up. We've got to talk about Alisson. I get the feeling, right? Every title winning team, they have pretty much world-class goalkeeper, right? And at the very least, that world-class goalkeeper just has to be like a net zero in terms of like saving or letting in goals to like, keep the team where it is. This is harsh, and I know this is harsh, but I don't think Alisson is as good as the Alisson that we saw 3 years ago. And performances like this kind of add to my bank of evidence in terms of Alisson. A pretty bad game today, and I'm pretty sure we can go through every single goal and dissect it and come out with Alisson not doing the best.
I tell you what, right? I might even look up some stats while I talk about these goals. Actually, I don't think I can multitask. Maybe I won't. Let's talk about the goals, right? The first goal, I think it's a really difficult one because that was one of the first corners he had to deal with, and like he got it wrong, and he weren't sure what to expect then, right? Yeah. But I feel like what he maybe should have done, and it's easier to say this in hindsight, and I'm well aware of that, but I feel like the only way he maybe have got away with that is either one, he shouldn't have come, he should have stayed in his position, like seeing you have Bono.
Yeah, but there was no Liverpool defenders there, so he kind of had to go.
No, I do get that. But I feel like as soon as he's made the decision to commit, he knows that he's got a player in front of him. And you know that like kind of filthy thing that some goalkeepers do where they put one hand on the player as they're jumping up and they go over and punch the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, as like trying to do a Superman impression there, but I feel like that was the only way he was going to have a chance of actually like kind of getting a good connection on the ball. Because I feel like as soon as he goes with two hands, I kind of lose those kind of few inches. Most men will tell you that makes all the difference. No, but I feel like as soon as he kind of goes with two hands, like he's trying to either catch or like kind of double punch. Like you lose that like kind of you lose those few inches. Whereas if he went with one hand, he might have been able to claw it away. But I feel like he wasn't able to get a strong enough hand.
Yeah, I mean, you disorientated me with your description of Alisson and his two hands. But I'm looking at the goal right now. I just feel, I mean, what are the Liverpool defenders doing? They just let it. No one is even challenging for that. So I felt like he was left alone to his own devices, and I don't think there was much that he could have done. He could just except be stronger.
I think he was stuck between a rock and a hard place, to be fair, and I feel like I was just offering suggestions of what he might have done better. But I think you're right with the defense; he needed help. I also, I don't blame him for this. I just want to add to that. I don't blame him for the second goal either.
Oh, I was going to heavily criticize that one.
Should I tell you why? Right? If you look at Fornals, right, he's just outside the penalty area. But
he could have got it though.
No. He should. Hear me out, right? I think the fact he gets a hand to it makes people think he should have saved it.
Okay.
But I tell you what, because it's always going to be a tough save. Because if you think, right, Alisson comes rushing out, right? Fornals is just on the edge of the box. So what we've basically got is some weird penalty scenario where the goalkeeper and the player, the goalkeeper and the player have been like shifted a few yards. And so Alisson doesn't know which way he's going to go. So he has to do his best to try and like kind of interpret which way he's going to go and react to it. So he's always going to like, it's not just a battle with Fornals. He has to react very quickly to even have a chance. So I feel like he's gone the right way, but he just hasn't been able to get down quick enough. I feel like there's a tough save to make.
Okay, maybe, but if you're a world-class goalkeeper, you got the world-class tag. I think the standards are much higher. So I'm still going to put him on blast for that one. And yeah, I think he should have saved that one. For the final one, oh my God, the final one against Zuma, he just looks like a lost puppy, basically. With that, do you not think? He's just looking at it the whole way. It's like, oh my God. Oh, and then there's Zuma.
I feel like West Ham boxed him in this one. I'll tell you what I mean, right? Because they kept on, like, I feel like they kept on putting like kind of the ball in and around like kind of the 6 yard, like it's either centrally or maybe a bit more close to the near post, right? And that's the equivalent of a boxer, like kind of boxing, jabbing your chest, right? He's sitting there, he's jabbing the body, he's going to the body, he's going to the body. And so Alisson, what he's done, I think, to try and anticipate and trying to like kind of stop West Ham doing this, he's positioned himself quite close to the near post, hasn't he?
Yes, and then he moves back to the back post.
Then what West Ham done, they've done what boxers do: body, and out of nowhere, bam, one to the head. And I feel like he's so near to that near post, and where Bayern's put a brilliant ball to the back post. To be fair, he's given him too much to do. Do you know what I mean? So he's scrambling over to the other side of the goal. He's not able to get in a good position. All he can really do is just like whap. That's all he's got when it kind of comes to it. Like he spreads.
You know what? After watching this and talking about it, I actually think the Liverpool defending is actually worse than what Alisson's done. Really, no one near him on the first and third goal. So I'm actually going to put it down to the Liverpool defending because they're watching the ball just as badly. I think it's just Alisson that looks worse because he's the goalkeeper. So I take it back. Maybe Alisson. I'll take it back.
Do you know what? Right, and so it's not so set pieces is. As far as it has nothing to do with this, right? Because that's a completely separate bit to it. But I think a bigger concern for Liverpool, as I say, excluding set pieces, because it's a different phase of the game, right? But it's not just in this game. But I feel like for this season, I feel like the protection offered by the midfield has not been good enough. Like for the has not. Let me start that sentence again. The protection the midfielders off defense has not been good enough. And I know it's easy to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I feel like Liverpool are missing a lot of the dirty work that Wijnaldum used to do. He used to stop all kinds of attacks. He used to break up play, stop counter-attacks. He would fill in for defenders when they kind of go bombing forward, and he would always be available for that, like kind of for that pass, makes it a bit easier for defenders when they're trying to play it out. And I feel like that's what they're missing. And I do know that they already have players who are willing to do everything I've just mentioned, but I feel like Klopp hasn't been able to find like that magical three combination that works, like all works in tandem and all works well, that he had when he had Wijnaldum, Fabiano, and Henderson. Fabinho, sorry.
Yeah, I would just say that they were very lucky because I felt like Naby Keita, the performance he put in against Man United was like pretty unworldly. And they're very lucky that he's injured and he can't play. And I thought that he was going to start something with that. But for now, they don't.
Although I am talking, like Keita's like kind of he is very good going forward. I'm talking about like more defensively. I feel like there's more holes to Liverpool than there was, say, in their title winning season.
Maybe. So that's West Ham versus Liverpool. Well done to West Ham. Yeah. But we got to get to our regular segment on this show, right? And that is Manchester United for Game of the Week, the Manchester Derby.
We can't say no to the Manchester Derby. That's the thing. Like it is a big game.
It is a massive game. Massive game. There was no doubt in my mind that Man United would lose this. I should have put money on this actually. Man United, another tough loss. I feel this is getting bad. Because I was just thinking about it. 2 games against Liverpool and Man City, conceded 7, scored 0. And in those games, for 180 minutes, they basically looked like a youth team getting plowed by the senior team.
Did you see Lingard's brother's Instagram?
No, I didn't.
Oh, he said after the Man City game, I didn't know that Sky showed trading games.
Wow, that is pretty bad. And even in those 2 games, right? Because that's the thing. Because of Man United, you have to judge them by these standards, right? They have a backline that has worth 200 million more, I think. And their defending was basically completely comical in these 2 games. And against Man City, I feel bad because Man City are an awesome team, right? But other than Ronaldo having a volley, it looked like they were just getting battered left, right, and center for 90 minutes. And they just couldn't get anywhere near the ball. So sort of my question is, what does the manner of these defeats really tell you about Man United and sort of where they'll finish this season?
Well, for me, it says that they're very, very far away from winning the Premier League, right? Last season, they finished second. And whilst they did do well to finish second, I feel like a few other potential title challengers had off seasons, right? Chelsea swapped Lampard for Tuchel. Liverpool had the whole season with like kind of out Van Dijk.
Yeah. They were second because they were best of the rest. They were very far away. Everyone was pretty bad.
Well, yeah, but they still finished second, right? So credit to them for that. And I feel like that, if they invested smartly and they had a plan, regardless if Chelsea and Liverpool had off seasons, that they would be
able to... And they didn't sign Ronaldo.
We'll get onto that, right? But I feel like if they had, as I said, a bit of a plan, there's some smart investment in this transfer window, that they could stay atop of like kind of the Chelseas and Liverpools and maybe even catch, kind of your Manchester Cities.
Mm-hmm.
But they did not have a good transfer window. They signed Sancho, who joins Van der Beek in like kind of being one of the world's most expensive benches. They signed Ronaldo, which even if he plays like kind of two up front, Ollie's got more strikers and he knows what to do with.
Yeah.
And they signed Varane. I actually rate Varane. I think actually Varane's like kind of quite a good player, but he's been quite unlucky with injury. But that's the investment, right? Whereas if you look at Chelsea, like kind of they kind of got their missing kind of man in Lukaku, which is what they wanted. And Liverpool, they finally got a partner for Van Dijk, but Klopp's still trying to like kind of work that out. So that's not been going too well for them. But the plan at Manchester United, I like United fans know how bad it is. Let me tell you something, right? There is no top manager, which I know of, right, that will be swapping from a back four to a back three or vice versa 3 years into the job if it's going well.
Yeah.
There's no guy. I seem to remember like kind of Wenger, like kind of he dabbled with like kind of a back three, like kind of towards the end of his reign. Obviously, but that's 15, like, what was it, 15 years in? Like, that's like, but you know what I mean? I can't think of like kind of Ferguson dabbling like kind of with a back three. I can't think of Jose kind of going to a back three or like kind of Conte going to a back four. Do you know what I mean?
Someone like Pep Guardiola, he will line up as a 4-4-2, but he'll do a 2-5, like whatever in game, right? It's completely different, but yeah.
But the point is he won't switch to like kind of a back three, not for a long period of time. So I feel like whatever plan they may have had is now gone out the window, and it's not going well for Ollie at the moment.
Yeah. Man United is a very bad. The Bundesliga is a very bad place to shop for Man United, and the rest of the Premier League. I feel like the Bundesliga, they make players look very good, to basically make them look like a really nice stripper, and then suddenly they get mesmerized, go for a dance, and it was utterly pointless and expensive. So
this is coming from the Arsenal fan that has Aubameyang, Leno. Who else you got? You probably got
from the Bundesliga. Yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, I mean they're kind of one-offs. They're kind of one-offs though. Man United have Shinji Kagawa as well to add to that.
He didn't do too badly.
I think the Man United fans would disagree. I've got to roll off some stats because there were some pretty fascinating stats that came out of this game. Manchester United managed just 4 touches in the opposition box. That's the lowest tally in any game since Opta started recording that metric in 2008. Manchester United registered more shots on target against themselves than they did at Manchester City's goal, which is, comical and crazy. Yeah, well, Eric Bailly basically he scored an own goal, and I remember someone else, was it Maguire? No, one of the Man United defenders basically kicked it at De Gea from a low cross, and De Gea did amazingly to not make that an own goal as well. And finally, United have now failed to keep a clean sheet in their last 14 home matches in all competitions, their longest run since 1955. 59. And finally, I thought this was pretty funny. Eric Bailly is the first Eric to score in a Manchester derby since Eric Cantona, unfortunately for the wrong side.
That's the last one. I was going to say 50. Well, I was going to say 55, but you correct 59. And the Eric stat, whilst I enjoy it, is utterly ridiculous. By the
way, I mean, Twitter is littered with all these troll stats, which they can be pretty funny from time to time.
Do you know? I have to say, I do feel like in some weird way, and I feel like it's probably partly because it's been compounded with the Liverpool result, but in some weird way, I feel like City fans, this has hurt them, if not the same, but maybe even more. I feel like it's like kind of quite getting to them now, the fact they're just not competing at that level.
Yeah, it's really feeling as if, like, what are you doing? What you got to change things up. I think it's largely we're going to talk about this right now. It's largely to do with Ed Woodward. He's given over the directive of football management, not management, sorry, director of football, someone new. I guess maybe for him, his last thing, probably doesn't want to sack the manager as his last act.
Gary Neville come out and said that. And to be fair, that makes quite a bit of sense. Football can be quite pretentious and like kind of face saving. So
yeah, he doesn't want to sack the man he appointed and gave a new contract. But my question is, how badly will United not regret sacking Solskjaer and not going after Conte? Because Conte, out of all the managers available, he is the number one, and they let it go to Tottenham, which for everyone else in the league, I feel is pretty much the optimal solution, because Conte joins a squad that is not a win now squad, but if he joined Man United, he potentially do some very dangerous things with this Manchester United squad.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like, let's get this straight. Conte is one of the best managers in the world right now, right? And
you could argue top 5.
He's up there, and he has gone to Tottenham, who
which is mad if you're the Man United board, just mad.
It's not just that Manchester United have they do have the better players right now. It's the fact that they have more funds to get the players, which Conte might say he needs. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? So they have more to offer Conte, but they stuck with Solskjaer. So to answer your question, how badly will Manchester United regret? I think just not sacking Solskjaer, especially when Conte is available, massively. Because I genuinely believe Manchester United fans at this point in time, they'd rather bet on another manager than carry on the way it is now.
Yeah, it's far too long. It's too long in the tooth with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
I also believe that Conte would do a much better job than Ole, but maybe there's some aspects of Conte which Manchester United didn't like. They've had big personalities with big CVs before, and it's not gone too well. And maybe they,
don't want to relinquish the power to Man United people at the top.
But as we just said, Conte is at the top of his game, where it could be argued, the big personalities that they had before in Van Gaal and Jose, they were a little bit on their way out. Do you know what I mean? A little bit like kind of past their sell-by date. That being said, if you actually look at the squads that Van Gaal had, I almost said Van Dijk, Van Gaal had and Jose, I would actually argue that both of them did a better job than Ole is currently doing.
Oh yeah, without doubt. The squads were probably 75% of what the squad is right now.
It's like the ability, like kind of I was looking into it, like kind of some of the teams that Van Gaal and Jose had, and both Van Gaal and Jose both won something, whereas Ole has failed to do that so far. I think the only way they don't regret sacking Ole Gunnar Solskjaer right now is if they have a plan to replace him in the summer with, like kind of a top manager who's maybe available.
Who? That's my issue. Who? No one. He's not better than Antonio Conte.
No, but he's better than Solskjaer.
Yeah, but they won't. That wouldn't be worth it for me for not hiring Antonio Conte.
No, not comparing to. I was going to say, I'm not comparing it to Conte. I do, as I say, because I think Conte, you say top. I'd say probably is top 5. But like, Pochettino's up there. Certainly an upgrade on Solskjaer. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Or maybe going for someone. Hopefully, it gets like the sack at the German job or something.
Potentially. All right, well, let's not antagonize or stress out Man United fans too much. I mean, it's a weekly segment. I feel like, they might not like us too much after talking about Man United so much. So we digress over to Manchester City. Right, Manchester City, you look pretty damn impressive. Right, give you another stat. City completed 753 passes, the most any team has completed in a Premier League match against Manchester United since Opta started recording pass stats in 2004. That's pretty damn impressive. And like you said, Jesse Lingard's brother, I did not know that they were airing exhibition matches or training matches. It really felt like that. And Manchester City, they're so good, right? They don't get the credit that they deserve. To go to Manchester United and absolutely play Man United off the park at Old Trafford, you almost expect it, right? Borderline expect it, especially where if Man United have a trouble season under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, all of that. But we can't let go at how good Manchester City were.
No, they were absolutely terrific. Tried to pronounce my R's there, so I didn't come across as terrific. You know what was quite funny? We discussed last week, right? What did we say about Manchester City last week? That if you can defend well against them, you can get that low block going, and you can get under their skin, you have a chance of getting a point against Manchester City, right? That's how you got to do it. What's the one thing you do not want to do against Manchester City? And that is let them score an easy goal really on in the game. Because that just sets them up for the rest of the 90 minutes.
That was great on goal. That was a great on goal.
It was crazy. And don't get me wrong, Cancelo's cross is a good one. But Bay he just makes such a mess of it. Well, it was 6 minutes in, wasn't it? And it's
you have to give Man City credit because they kept pinging it across back. They were making the Manchester City block, or say back 6 or 7. They were making them move left to right constantly, and they got really caught out.
Yeah, well, they were just picking holes in them because they were sitting there, probably in that meeting beforehand. He said, "Look, they're going to have back three. They're going to play a back three. There's something that they've not been doing for that long. They're going to be not used to it. I just want you to prod and see where the space is." And that's all they did. And literally from that point onwards, they were just picking them apart because they would just kind of do a few probing passes, kind of do a few runs, and they could just see where this kind of team that was inexperienced in the formation that they were playing, they were just creating spaces, and from the Bay goal, I just want to say, I think it was pretty much plain sailing for Man City, right? We'll say a few bumpy waves
from when that goal went in, pretty much.
There was a few bumpy waves, but it was essentially plain sailing. And for the second goal, that was a gift as well.
I know.
It's a second gift. I don't know what is going. But you know what? I have to say, Silva does brilliantly to keep his eye on the ball there, right? Because he's got Shaw kind of in front of him, so it's actually really quite difficult to keep your eye on the ball and to get that on target.
Yeah, Bernardo Silva, false number 9. Sorry, really sort of ran the show. Well, De Bruyne was really running the show. I can't believe they didn't score more in this game. Foden hit the post. Jesus could have scored.
De Gea made some really good saves. He made some really good saves.
Yeah, De Bruyne really magisterial performance, but it doesn't feel like he got a lot of credit in this game.
I feel like they're stat hunters, right? I never ever agree with it, but it's like kind of if you don't get goals and assists, then they're like, oh, you didn't have a great game.
Yeah, I'll give you some stats. 67% possession at Old Trafford, right? 5 shots on target to Man United's 1. 16 shots as well. So they were firing away at Manchester United. And Bernardo Silva, you did give him a shout out, but João Cancelo probably goes away with man of the match. But Man City look, it's slowly turning into a 2-horse race.
I want to expand my shout out to Bernardo Silva. I'll tell you why, because bear in mind, right, there were rumours in the summer, and I don't think Pep come out and confirmed it in the end, but he did say there was 4 players that want to leave Manchester City, right? But we're pretty sure that he was one of the players who wanted to leave Manchester City, right? But there's been no signs of sulking from him. And against Manchester United, he just seemed to be everywhere, right? And it's probably helped by the fact he ran 12.51 kilometres in that game, which is more than anyone else. and to add a few more like kind of statistics in there, because this seems to be a statistic heavy podcast, right? But that's what we're going with. He had the most successful dribbles of everyone that was on the pitch, and he did the most presses. It's just another game where I feel like he just showed why Pep wants to keep him so much, because he is brilliant.
He is brilliant indeed. And that's it for game of the week number 2. Try not to go too long, but of course we go too long when we start talking about Man United. And finally, we're going game of the week. Game of the week, goal of the week. My apologies.
We've passed an hour. People don't know this, but Gary's break stops after an hour.
After 5 minutes, usually. I have one person in mind for this award. Only one.
Can I have a guess? Because there's a few contenders, right? Because you got Origi scored a very good goal. Barnes scored an excellent finish. Armstrong. That's Adam Armstrong, not Stuart Armstrong, because Stuart Armstrong, if we did miss of the week, he would be up there. But Adam Armstrong scored a very good, I think it was a half volley in the end. And you got Trent Alexander-Arnold's free kick.
You think that's what I'm going for?
I think you're going for TAA.
Wrong. I'm going for Origi's goal because that is such a difficult. You just never see it. Touch, turn, finish, bang. That is a proper. Like if that happens to you as a defender, you're like, fuck, can't do anything about that. That's pretty. It's like one of those goals you just give respect to because like there's no way. Yeah, there's no way you think that he's gonna pull that off back to goal. So he's my goal of the week winner.
For the sake of variety, I think I'm gonna go. I don't know. I am gonna go Adam Armstrong.
Adam Armstrong.
It's a thunder bastard of a shot, right? He just like kind of on the half. No, I'm gonna go Barnes. I've swapped. I'm going Barnes. Right in the postage stamp.
It was a good goal. Very, very good.
But there was some very good goals this game week, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's our goal of the week winner. Let us know who you think is your goal of the week. Let us know who your winners and losers of the week. And do not give us any slack about talking about Man United again on this podcast. That's it for this week. We shall not see you next week. It is the international break. We'll see you the weekend after. See you later.
International break. See you later.
Bye.